you a few changes other than we're missing Mac. This is Marshal Sullivan. I'll attempt to go through and make somewhat of a quick inventory of the building before the move and tell a little bit about it. I have Heather Kottmeyer here to help me out, and she'll get us in now.
Mr. Sullivan.
Most visitors to the museum are amazed by the size of this collection. As we view the west wall here in the high school and just a general pan, we're having a look at the Indian artifact side of the museum. Upon coming in a little bit closer, we have over here at the north front of the building Eastern arrowheads in a pretty good sized collection. I understand Mr. McCurdy purchased many of these from another museum. We'll move up a bit closer and have a look at the moccasins. This is a good collection. It's showing some very old moccasins. It shows some woodland flower patterns as well as the plains geometric pattern moccasins. They range from adult moccasins to the tiny, fairly modern infant moccasins at the top of the frame. Now to move in and have a good look. The three bottom pairs are beaded moccasins. In the center, we have a rather unusual pair that are genuine Indian-made porcupine quill decorated moccasins. Most of these were probably brain tanned. The process where the animal's own brain tanned the leather, and they were smoked by the Indian as well to make a high-grade leather. The very plain tiny pair in the middle, I actually had the privilege of seeing these made myself by a lady named Ellen Big Sam. She did not speak English, and in the Salish dialect we used to have some pretty sad conversations since I couldn't say a word. Her explanation as she worked on this hide for this particular pair of moccasins was she was mokum hide. I saw the hide tanned, and I went back later while Ellen was working on the moccasins. Swinging to the left now, we're getting onto the states pretty well east, Tennessee, and coming back over toward the Midwest. And these will be on display in the Powder River Museum downtown. So there's nothing here that's going to be lost. This is just a bit of nostalgia, having a look at the good old museum here in the high school building. At one time it was used when classes were taught in anthropology, archaeology, but as modern times have taken the money away, we don't have all of these things, and now it'll be down for public viewing, and it will probably get better use there. We have here a truly outstanding frame. The beadwork is genuine. I've had the vest on, very, very heavy. It is sewn with sino, and it is a genuine Florentine type beads. Quite an unusual frame. The amulet bags, so on, the dentalium shell necklace, and at the base we have here a choke cherry bow, which I understand has been strung for well over 100 years. It's showing the wear and tear. Good to see it getting out of the school. I always thought some little kid would get in trouble when they walked by and it broke and they might get blamed for it. This is a swing back at the door on the bottom shelf. We've got a brain coral. We have a buffalo head here. We have a number of other fossil artifacts found in this area. The complete head is really quite unusual. At one time in conversation, Mr. McCurdy told me that he picked this one up. It's genuine. It was bleached on the range, and it was picked up somewhere around 1910, as I recall. These dates are not something cut in stone. Robert McCurdy probably can give you a better dating on most of this material. I spent a lot of time with Mr. McCurdy, so I feel I'm fairly well versed on what we're looking at. Down here at the bottom, we're looking at a mammoth tooth found in this area. We're looking at the portion of a mountain sheep type skull, at least a wild sheep skull, found in the Powder River. These skulls are found in association with rather heavy gravel. It may be indicative of their origin. I really don't know one thing about them. Here we are with more fossil remains across the bottom. The second skull is also a Powder River find. They were found very near each other, I believe. We have a few more fossils and another buffalo skull. Up above here in the case, we're looking at some very interesting horn spoons, this type of thing. Some genuine Indian hafted, probably 100 years plus old arrowheads. Across the bottom again, we're getting into some buffalo bones, a whale vertebrae, some hand axes, mauls, and this type of artifact. A genuine beaver chewed piece of aspen or birch, and as we swing on down, we see more fossils across the base of the display. We will be moving along. Pipestone artifacts. I do not know the history of these items. As we look at the arrowhead collection, there are a few frames that are of special interest, and I'll move up and zoom in on them. The first frame is one of field finds, Powder River. These points are all field find. They are some of the oldest points in the museum, at least from this area. They probably merit a good bit of more study in the future. Unfortunately, none of them were found in situ. A frame of steel points, Hudson Bayford Company, trading probably wagon box metal. This frame with the arrowhead motif is from the Peerless Kill about 6 miles west of Broadus. These points are probably typologically about 800 years old, very small. It was probably an opportunity kill, fairly small number of bones in association with the points. The Indians definitely did not lose many arrowheads. These were very, very difficult to find. We'll swing left, and we're going to be looking at, again, all field finds from Powder River. The frame of points in the center here is from what is called the Charlotte Kill. It's on the Charlie Russell Ranch. It is very near Broadus, about 4 miles east. The points were dug from a single stratigraphy of bone, fairly heavy overburden. At one time, I believe it measured about 13 feet out there, and these are a fairly old type of point. We're swinging left here to frame from the Yonke Ranch kill. This kill, further information to be found in the papers from the University of Wyoming. Moving on down, we are to what is called the Lower Miles Kill, 2 frames of points here. They were on a ranch owned by Alec Denson at one time, currently owned in a grazing association. Unfortunately, while these were found in situ with a thin layer of bones, probably again an opportunity kill, maybe in a snow trap, there is nothing left of the kill. It was completely removed, and there's no hope for any scientific study of the site. These 2 frames of points are from the Upper Miles Kill. There is no reason to believe that there wasn't or was an association between these points and the last 2 frames that we looked at. Again, this kill has been totally removed. This is yet another frame from the Miles Kill. Note the indented base corner notch. Length on these points run about 1 3/4 inches. Don't dwell on these points. They come from sites other than Powder River, Dawson and Richland County. This frame shows some examples from the classic Indian buffalo kills on the Sun River, the Pishkun, as the term has been applied. These are from some of the large, colossal-sized kills such as Lewis and Clark recorded. We're just walking along the base of the west side of the museum, kind of checking out what was here, having a tourist eye view as it was. There are some beautiful specimens in this collection. a frame containing some headdress, necklaces, a container here, parfleche type. Again, this is decorated with buffalo that'd be really large quills if they were buffalo, with porcupine quills. The fossil case have in the upper left-hand portion of the frame an example of some Green River type fish. There's only one site located in Powder River County, located by a gentleman named Billy Clampett. Bill was just a boy when he dug these. It was a very, very tiny site, and no others have been found in Powder River as of yet, but they do exist in the county. Most of this is probably from eastern Carter County. Western Carter County, I should say. This basket of rubble, it's shell materials from the Gulf of Mexico, may be recognized by a lot of almost approaching middle-aged people in Powder River County. Mr. McCurdy provided these baskets of material that he paid for from dredgings out of the Gulf, and children used to fill a hall here in the museum with their little bottoms turned up while they searched for shells, and a huge collection of small and juvenile shells were actually made. Heather will come in now and just give us a very quick glance at what it is like. These shells are tiny, tiny. Heather, would you put your hand up? You know, it's data girl, so I've got your thumbnail to show the sizes and so on. Beautiful. Let's just move on down a couple of drawers. There are actually two cabinets of material that were collected from baskets. Mr. McCurdy was not in good health, and he sat at the desk here in the office of the museum and sorted through, got these, what were to me, horrible globs of stuff out, and he, with his knowledge, painstakingly cleaned them. Some cases he bleached materials out so that you could see the natural coloring of the shell, and made this gigantic collection up. Go ahead, Heather, and just show us through a few more drawers. Okay, good. Down at the bottom you may find some larger shells that were not much. Mostly all juveniles and very, very tiny shells. Wish I could tell you folks more about these. Up on a label Mr. McCurdy placed here himself of some of the Mexican pottery that he collected, I believe, in the period of time shortly after his retirement. In this case in the bottom, there is a good bit of Southwest stuff and also a collection of materials. Some of it's gone, as you can see. Various family members, I believe, have taken it. That Mr. Robert McCurdy Jr. collected in his period, in the period of time between World War II and the Korean conflict, when he served in Korea. Further to the left, we have a collection of items gathered in China by Mr. McCurdy's brother. And he, as I understand it, was a missionary to China back in the 1920s. Across the top, you can read our labels here. Yeah, we're coming on all the way on over. And we've got a collection from gathered all over the world, really, India, etc. Corner, general interest case. Smaller children always come in and seem to really enjoy looking at things like the handcuffs here. And other items. Up to the wall where we have a mineralogical collection. Some fossils. We'll move over and go in close on these, and I won't attempt to make explanation since this is far from my field of expertise. This is a huge collection. It was collected in virtually the entire life of Mr. McCurdy. He told me that the oldest specimen here, that is to him, that he collected it when he was 4 years old. And the item, he did not tell me what it was, but he made a rather extensive search through all of these things trying to locate it. And he said, well, when I find it, I'll tell you about it. Unfortunately, that day he didn't find it, and we were rarely back in the museum together again. Here we have a case of polished stones. These always attract children's attention when they visit the museum. This museum has been a valuable teaching aid, and a good many people have developed a special interest in mineralogy or archaeology. I started with Mr. McCurdy way back in the early 1940s. It led to my going to graduate school to study anthropology, archaeology. He's genuinely missed in this community. We're getting into his conchology collection, which I think was his real major interest. We'll pan some of the cases in the middle of the museum area. See. I saved this case until last. I understand there are about 500 conus shells in the world, and Mac told me that there are about 450 of them in this collection. When you're in the museum and looking in person, it takes time to really have a good look at this one. Okay, we have Heather showing us a few of the variety items that we have here in the museum. Mr. McCurdy had this tree snail collection. He really enjoyed showing it to people because they all thought that it was going to be, that he would tell them seashells. He had different things. Let's come along to the next tier of drawers here. Okay, that's fine, any of them. And you'll see, get back more seashells, that sort of thing. Perhaps right here in the next tier, open up a couple. There was a bird egg collection, I believe. This was made back, no, I believe above it there, a couple of drawers. Yeah. There we go. Okay. These bird eggs, this collection was made back in the days before we realized the ecological impact that this type of thing might have. Nothing has been done of this sort in many, many years. Okay, let's come on along here, Heather. We've got into a lot of mineralogy. Oh yeah, butterflies and moths. Then we'll come across, we'll have a few drawers here to show you where the rather large mineralogical collection is located. Okay. Let's just go along, Heather. We can't go through each of these drawers as we go. We're just proving the vast variety of things that are available to see here. Now we'll have an overall pan through the museum. I'll step back. Heather, if you would just kind of have a walk through the museum over here and around toward the door. We're looking at what's the northwest corner. Young lady can't help but just neaten things up, and we'll pan all the way around the museum. Don't go so fast there, we really want to see you too. Okay, now if you would stop right there, I'm going to come over and let's give Mr. McCurdy his due by taking a picture of his picture. This is a later year portrait of Mac, of Mr. McCurdy. This is the way I remember him in the museum.